So kind of encourage you to play standard. There's the Hydralisk Den there and the Spire. So we are probably going to see very typical standard builds, at least for now. And as of late, with these standard builds, there's been a lot of discussion lately actually saying that Zerg is a little bit imbalanced, ZVP specifically in this matchup. And I don't really think that's true completely, but I do think that one thing is true. And it looks like the first Overlord's going to go down here. One thing that's true is that Protoss have been having a really hard time with this build in particular. And basically, just Zerg is so flexible, they're able to switch to mutas so quickly that players just don't expect it, and they have a hard time countering. It's hard to get a bunch of Dragoons out real quick or a bunch of Corsairs out, whereas if you're a Zerg player, you can adapt real quickly. And so one of the really kind of imbalanced things has been mutalist sniping of Templar. There's the first Templar we see there, two high Templar. They're actually morphing into an Archon, so it looks like that Pure is expecting some mutalists probably. So that's what he's doing to counter that. But yeah, we've seen a lot of mutalists, just groups of mutalists coming in and just sniping off Templar, which is a brilliant move. But Protosses have just not been able to counter this. And one way that Protosses have been countering that, or trying to, is by building more Dragoons, building more Archons. Even we saw recently Cal built a Dark Archon and used Maelstrom to basically freeze the mutas, try to freeze the mutas, and then kill them off, like either with a storm or whatever. So that's a pretty creative thing to do. It's been relatively effective, but basically Protoss is trying to find a way to deal with this right now. So, and it looks like we're about to see the initial stages here of this fight. It looks like some Zerglings coming out kind of piecemeal to that Archon. That's not a good idea, but Hydras are coming to back that up. Here come the Zealots. Zealots coming in. Interesting, there's no High Templar, so Pure is not going to be able to storm those Hydras, but right now he does have the speed lots too, so he's able to push back those Hydras. But as soon as the Hydras get back to their base, they should be fine within that reinforcement supply route.
One thing that I'm curious about is how good Pure's Storm Micro is. I can tell you that the thing that I've seen, and what I've seen set apart Protoss players that defeat Zerg and then dead Protoss players, is Storm usage. Granted, if you get, as you mentioned, if you get the High Templars killed, we do have actually a pretty big attack coming in here with a lot of, quite a few speed lots, as well as the Archon, which does some pretty heavy splash damage. If the Zealots can go in there and take out the Sunken Colony, which it looks like they're not able to, so the Sunken Colony is actually doing a lot of damage. I'm wondering if Hyuk actually target fired the Archon with the Sunken Colony. He may have done that, and if he did, that was actually a really excellent move to try to get that out first, because that does the most damage. He has lost a few drones from the Archon, but he was able to get rid of it, and it looks like he's going to keep mining, and he is going to clean this up. So, oh no, he's not. I'm sorry. There were Zealots that went down there, so he didn't clean it up. This is actually a really big attack, and I'm kind of surprised in seeing Hyuk's game sense from the other games that he was not prepared for this. He is going to be able to eventually clean it up, but the Mutalist came out, and the timing from Pure was that good to where he rushed before there was any Mutalists out, because Hyuk actually has really good Mutalist micro, so that was very good timing on Pure's part and able to scout that and rush.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty standard timing basically by the Protoss. Protoss, sometimes you get the speed lots and even complement that with an Archon. The Archon's there, so if the Zerg player was going mutas, he'd be able to have something to defend himself, to defend it. It looks like a DT coming out now. That is going to get spotted by this Overlord, probably, if Hyuk's paying attention, but it looks like the Mutalists are not coming back. Oh, Mutalists are coming back now, so Hyuk is going to be a little bit on the defense, but what I was going to say is that's a pretty standard build, or pretty standard timing. It looks like some of these drones might get whacked. Yep, one goes down. So Hyuk doing a good job of, and it looks like he's going to take out that DT. Hyuk's done a good job of refilling his drones at its bases, but certainly that was a very, very effective timing attack by Pure, and like you said, a pretty standard attack, pretty standard timing. Right. So the fact that Hyuk had his Hydras kind of out of position, or didn't have enough Hydras, didn't have any mutas, I don't know what it was that threw Hyuk off, but his timing was a little off there. He just didn't, I guess, see it coming. He didn't see the full force.
Right.
And one good thing that Pure is doing that a lot of Protoss don't is he actually has 3 Corsairs, which is pretty decent. A lot of Protoss players, I think one problem is they stop building Corsairs and they lose the air dominance. So if you can keep that air dominance, it gives you map control. You can see right here how Hydras, or Hyuk is kind of stuck in his base a little bit, just because he doesn't really want to move those Hydras out. It looks like Evo Chamber going down. Some Lurkers out now. Lurkers are a really good counter against Zealots, so that's kind of what Hyuk would have liked to have, you know, back when that attack happened, but he didn't have him back then. It looks like attack coming in here. I don't think there's an observer for Pure, so Pure is going to have to back up. Yeah, I don't think no observer, so he definitely cannot persist with that attack.
Yeah, and what we have seen Protoss doing fairly well is bringing in a couple Dark Templars in the middle of battle and then if there's only one Overlord and you have a good Corsair saturation or mild like he has with I think 3 or 4 right now, then you can go in there, take out the Overlord real quick, as well as with Dragoons work for that, and then obviously then you have the advantage because then you have DTs, and as long as you keep them out of the range of the Lurkers or out of the splash damage, then you can do a lot of damage. I have to say, this is a decent force by Hyuk, but a much stronger force, I feel, here. Very, very good army composition by Pure, and although, okay, there are some of the Templars coming out here. We're going to see how Pure does here, because right now, Pure will not win this battle without good storms. So, well,
he
although
doesn't
he's
even
going to
have
drive him
Templar.
back. Well, he has Templar coming out on their way right now. I don't know if they have enough. I don't know if they have enough energy, but yeah, there's one. But here come 3. So this is going to be key here. And again, as I was mentioning before, when we see Protoss versus Zerg, it comes down to storms a lot of time and evading the storms. And if you can have really good storms, but if the other player is good enough and quick enough to evade, then you can still get overrun really well because you waste those Templars. So right now, it should be noted that Pure does have a 3rd base going up on the top left there. And storming, a great storm there, taking off a lot of damage on those Mutalisks and the Hydralisks. That was an entire clump of Mutalisks that started getting stormed there. Hyuk's Ring of Power needs to come into play here. Oh, another really good storm.
Oh, brilliant
Excellent storms by Pure. Absolutely excellent storms. The Ring of Power has failed him. Maybe he needs to put it on his finger because he has lost this battle. And I fear this could be the game here. Another good storm.
GG.
Wow. Already
wow,
GG.
GG already. And I gotta say that what we saw a little bit was what I was talking about. Pure had a lot of Dragoons. See, if it was 2 months ago, a Protoss army wouldn't have had those Dragoons. But because he has those Dragoons, Hyuk can't just maraud around with his Mutalisks and go snipe those Templars. So Pure was really smart. He didn't just let his Templars walk out, when they usually walk out with the rest of the army. He waited a really long time to bring in his Templars, so basically the threat was gone. He waited until the threat wasn't there, until he had map dominance, which he gained with the Corsairs and the Dragoons and things like that, and then he brought the Templar out, and the Templar was still effective. But yeah, usually we see those Templar getting sniped, but Hyuk, he didn't have that large of a clump of Mutalisks, and additionally, there's just a lot of Dragoons, so even if he had gone in to snipe those Mutalisks, they would have taken a lot of damage from the Dragoons. So very effective build by Pure, to get those Dragoons out. And like I said, that's been one counter that we've seen, and certainly a lot more Dragoons in that battle than what you would usually see from a Protoss.
Yeah, there's about an equal number of Dragoons as Zealots, which, again, yeah, it's not very common. So, good. Well, we might be seeing a pretty good new type of counter to the Sauron Zerg build. So, we'll see if Pure can pull it off in the next video. See you then.